This Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back to switch things up in Disney's Freakier Friday.
Totally, yes.
It's an absolute riot, and the only movie that can be described as
So much weirder than the last time.
What last time?
it's the frequel
You ready?
we've been waiting for.
That absolutely slays.
What deeply out of touch old person came up with that?
You did.
Wow.
Don't miss the comedy event of the summer for all ages. Disney's Freakier Friday in theaters this Friday. Get tickets now. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Hey all, I'm Jamie Lynn Sigler, a mom, actor, and advocate. I know how overwhelming it can be trying to decide which treatment is right for you. I've been there. But you should know you're not alone. You can do this. Start with some research, talk to the community, and most importantly, don't be afraid to ask your doctor questions. You might find results that speak for themselves. That's how I landed on Kesimpta. Ask your doctor if Kesimpta, ofatumumab, could be right for you. You can check out the details at kesimpta.com.
Pie in the Sky Media. This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence throughout. Listener discretion is advised.
All right. 3, 2, 1. We're back. Welcome back, Criminal Mischief Nation, to another bonus episode of Criminal Mischief with Carolyn and Branden. I'm the Branden of Carolyn and Branden. Along with, as always, the great Carolyn Osorio, who we do not deserve, but yet she shows up for us every
Your
week.
intro always reminds me of the great Wizard of Oz, and I'm like this total fraud.
Great and wonderful. So we had an assassination attempt in this country. Believe that? I never thought I would say that.
Really? Why?
I don't know. It just seems.
We've lived through a pandemic.
Here's why.
Okay.
That's a good question, and I have an answer that just dawned on me right now. Okay. I'm a student of history. I love reading about history. I love political history specifically. And all of the successful or unsuccessful assassination attempts that I've read about were surrounding, and this is not an indictment of former President Trump by any means, but all of these other assassinations of leaders from kings and queens in antiquity up until, with Lincoln and McKinley and Kennedy, obviously, and attempts on the Pope. And in my mind, those figures occupied such a much more critical place in history, right? It seemed such perilous times or such important times, or they were doing such great work that leaders today, in general, in my mind, just don't seem quite as important, I guess. Does that make sense to you?
It does, but I would counter that with, I think that there's so much political divide right now that in and of itself is...
Agree. Oh, no, I totally agree. I'm not saying we're not divided. I'm not saying that
No. I know. I'm saying, like, I think that the monumental piece of these times is the great division of our time and how social media and how, our echo chambers are really contributing to, how we think and feel and
Sure, but what I was going to say next was that, though, I'm sure a generation or two from now, someone like me will look back and go, wow, that was such an important era in American history. Look at how divided they were. It got so bad that some nut job took a shot at a former president, and an innocent bystander was killed. Okay, right now it just seemed like Kennedy. It was like 1963. It was like boom, Vietnam, and it was moving into the turbulent times of the 1960s that got ushered into, and it kind of like laid the foundation. And then his brother, and then Martin Luther King, and like all of the, those figures seemed so much bigger than any of than a Biden or a Trump today, or even an Obama, maybe Obama more so. But and I think it's just being a prisoner of the moment. Like, oh, I'm used to it because this is when we live, and we've grown accustomed to this division. We've grown accustomed to all of this tension and conflict going on. So it seems less relevant, I guess. But I'm sure, a generation from now, people look back and go, I can't believe how bad it got. When for us, it just seems, oh, it's just another news day,
I mean, I feel like it's really bad. I mean, I feel
It is,
like
yeah,
it's
it
really
is.
bad. I feel
It
like I'm
is.
living in the moment of it. And part of my reticence to say anything is I think that, people come to our podcast to, listen to us talk about true crime and if it makes sense within the true crime story to talk about it, then I'll talk about it. But I don't want to be another echo chamber that we share that then people are like, can they just talk about the story? Because
Right. No, but I wanted to talk about it in a true crime sense because this is going to be it's a crime scene that is going to be discussed in school books, right?
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's going to be like the Kennedy assassination in the sense
Eventually,
of
yeah.
like people already have their opinions. Did it happen? Did it not happen? And I'm not even saying, I'm just saying
Who
there's
was the kid? Why did the Secret Service not sweep that roof?
right.
Like, yeah.
Yes.
All that
And who
really
knows? I don't want
interesting.
to go to darkness, but like, could this be a turning point into something that, divides us further? And I hope not. I
Yeah, that's
really,
what I was
really hope
texting with
not.
some friends of mine. I said, unfortunately, I think this is the beginning, you know.
I'm sorry, you cut out there for a second. What did you
I
say?
said, unfortunately, I think it's the beginning of a really, really turbulent kind of time because words are words, and and people say stupid things, but when you start trying to assassinate, political leaders, that's
It's
I
not
thought
okay.
it's
It's not
not. Oh God, no, Jesus Christ,
okay. No, I know. I'm just saying, like, no matter where you land in the political landscape,
Of course, you have to win it with ideas.
yeah,
Win
exactly.
it, have better ideas. Have
Yeah,
better leadership. Have try to help more people. Try to try to shine light onto the darkness. And if you can't, get up the next day and try again. Don't pick up a gun.
absolutely.
Yeah. But anyway, how was your weekend?
It was good. The weeks go by so fast in summertime. It's like summertime in the
Yeah, they do.
Liberty. You know, um, it it's just I love summer, but I also like it's been really hot here in Seattle. So I don't want to
Mm.
do that thing where it's like, complaining about where's the rain? But it's been hot. It's been like 90 all week. So
I rescued a baby bird.
I know you just so you know, everybody, he already showed me. He's like, do you hear that? I'm like, yes, I hear a bird. He had to bring out the little shoebox. Brandon was like 9 years old and opened it up, brought it up, showed me in his little hand, and then
Yeah.
fed it. And honestly, I told him that I wasn't sure how I felt about this, like really sensitive, sweet Brandon.
He
It's
wouldn't
a
have survived out there. There's a falcon that kind of patrols my
I
neighborhood
thought
that would
your
have.
wife saved it because I know your wife's a
No,
huge
no, no. It was all
animal
me.
lover.
There are raccoons that are really nasty and there's coyotes in my neighborhood also. So this poor guy wouldn't have lasted 10 minutes and he fell out of his nest. I think he was rejected by his mom because he's kind of fucked up. Like maybe he
Mhm.
was born with like, I don't know, a fucking bad wing or something, right?
What was that little dance?
I don't
Was
know,
that
but he looked, like
Lady
he was
Gaga?
born like, like bad. And so the mom's like, you're never going to make it. So just go, you know?
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
and
Well, we can hear him in the background.
yeah, no. So I wanted to save him. I wanted to name him Ithliartes, the hunchback from 300 that betrays Leonidas,
Mhm.
who was supposed to die at birth, but his dad saved him.
Mhm. I can just picture you 20 years from now at some political rally with
The bird on my shoulder.
your shoulder. Serenity now.
I hope so. Hold on, I got to close the door because he's being loud. Hold on. Back and row, quiet. Yeah, so he yells so much. We named him McEnroe. But I can't. We can't keep him. We're going to be taking him to a bird sanctuary here in Los Angeles probably tomorrow, the next day, and hopefully he'll do well.
Let the real professionals take over.
Yeah, let the real professionals take over.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a full-time job. He eats every like 20 minutes. I don't know if I'm doing it right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
wait a second. You went to Jersey for some.
He's a good bird. I did. Yeah, I had to go back for a funeral. A friend of mine's mother died, and it was sad, but it was the same thing. It's great to see everybody, but it's a terrible reason, and and man, small town America, man, you stay there long enough, and everyone gets comfortable, and it's like old times again, and then they're 10 or 12 beers in, and then little splashes of racism here and there, right? Yeah. And I went, oh, that's right. That's why I left. Yeah. So it was and what was the other? It was so funny because I just threw up my hand. I went, yeah, you're probably right. Somebody said something there was the funeral, then there was the repast, and then after that we went back to my friend's house where his mom still lived, his childhood home, and he's got a pool, and it was really hot in Jersey, and there was like 30 something people there, and it was everybody knew everybody forever. Okay. And there were a couple of new people because like friends brought their wives or whatever, and someone asked some snarky question about is that's one of those get the pronouns right, I think it's a they them, like said something really stupid, right? And ugly. And someone goes, what does that even mean? And then someone said something worse about me, saying, ask the gay dude from LA, referring to me. Okay. Because I live in Los Angeles, that must make me gay. All right. And I went, yeah, good one. Right. Yeah, really, really, really funny. And then they tried to say, what I bet what you're going to try to explain with the pronouns. I'm like, I can if you want. It's not really that complicated, but I don't think you really want the answer, right? And then someone says, we all know it's the vaccines.
Oh my Branden.
No, Carolyn, hold on, wait. And I had to stop. And I went, what do you? Because I really wanted to know what they meant. I'm like, what do you mean by the vaccines? They go, well, it's obvious. When you take your kids to go get the stupid vaccine, if it's a boy, they give you a vaccine with estrogen in it, and if it's a girl, they give you a vaccine with testosterone in it. That's why there's so many more trans kids now than there ever used to be. And she was like, duh. And that's when I went, wow, I guess you're right. You can't get through to that kind of thinking.
I'm so glad you didn't even try.
I just turned around and went back to talking to my buddies, and then couldn't wait to get back on the plane. So, but listen, that's why it's different. I left that town so early and moved to Los Angeles and was instantly surrounded by every color of person imaginable, every sexuality you could think of, right? Every social class, every educational level. And you realize something really, really quickly is that, we're all the same. We all have the same struggles. We all have the same desires. We all have the same, human frailties, like all of it. That's why people in the big cities tend to be a lot more progressive and a lot more accepting and much less judgmental, because you're thrown into the mix, and a person with those kind of severe prejudices is not going to survive in a city.
Do you think what was their motivation on like getting your attention? Like, why were they? It's like I don't understand. Like, they knew that you were one of them, right? Or did they feel like you kind of out?
No, they know I'm one of them. They totally know I'm one of them, because, and then these same people, when I'm like up at the buffet one-on-one, they go, so like, do you see like celebrities and stuff when you're out there? Right? Like all of a sudden it's, now we're cool again. But when it's in the group, we got to make fun of the guy who left and moved to LA,
Well, that's what I was wondering. It feels like they're seeing their smallness and somehow it's reflected back on them.
Maybe, but it doesn't come from me. Like, I don't strut around and think
oh my gosh, of course I know it doesn't.
Yeah.
That makes it even more like Because if you were the type, you'd be so easy to dismiss this person. Oh, look, he thinks he's a big shot, and then you act like a big shot, right? But when you're just totally cool, it's almost like even worse for somebody who feels like, they're kind of stuck in motion. You know what I mean? So
here's the most telling part. This was the funniest part. So during all of this, my really, really good friend whose mom died, he has a 9-year-old daughter. Okay. This beautiful kid, and she's awesome, and she's smart, and she's great. And she was kind of like running around the pool, and he has 2 older sons, and they were kind of running around. But she's the type of girl who kind of like hangs out around adults. She feels comfortable. Right? Like my youngest is like that. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've been around a bunch of Jersey guys, like, a keg and a half into a funeral day. All right. It's ugly. Right. And there's a lot of colorful language, and there's a lot of terrible things being said. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And here's this.
You gotta understand. My dad was a New Yorker.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. And here's this little kid, right? And I went, okay, I'm a father of daughters also, so I would always, every now and then, I kind of look over and like, is it okay that she's here? Because you guys are saying some pretty gnarly stuff, right? When the whole trans talk happened, one of the guys comes up and he goes, "Not in front of the kid, not in front of the kid." I said, "Oh, you don't think she's heard this before? Right? You don't think she's been exposed in school to this? But all of this other stuff that everybody's saying is okay in front of the kid, but trying to have an intelligent conversation about social issues, no way. That's going to poison her brain." I'm like, "Okay, man, you got it. Not in front of the kid." It's crazy.
I remember when I first got access to the internet. Of course, I was an adult, but I still had to learn a thing or two, like maybe not the best timing to send an email to someone after having a glass of wine or two. Which is all to say, I didn't grow up with the internet the way today's kids have. I'm Gen X, baby, and I am so grateful for that. But now, having 5 kids over the years with varying access to cell phones, it's always a battle to figure out what the right age is for a kid to get a cell phone, especially if all their friends have one. Because I've learned that you can't control what they're seeing on social media, the music or videos they're looking up, sometimes stumbling into inappropriate content by accident. It's unnerving to think about how a cell phone in a kid's hand could be like opening Pandora's box. Which is why I'm excited about Gab. Gab is the leader in safe smartphones and watches for kids, teens, and tweens. With no social media apps, no internet browser, and GPS tracking. Now, this may sound boring to your kid, but it's really not. Gab phones and watches are still tech kids actually want. There's unlimited talk and text, a clean music streaming app, and over 100 third-party apps that can be installed at parents' discretion. I want to stay connected with my youngest son, who's 10 years old, but I know he's not ready for a full-on cell phone. And so Gab allows both of us to be part of something bigger than ourselves, and here's how. First of all, my son didn't think he was going to get a cell phone until he was 14. And so he was really excited to get his Gab phone in the mail. And I love making him happy and giving him a little bit more responsibility. I genuinely feel better about letting him free range, knowing he can call me at any time. Gab is a real game changer for me and my son, and I can't recommend enough that you give Gab a try. And this is the absolute best time to check them out because right now, Gab is offering $25 off any device to new customers with no contract required. That's $25 off any Gab smartphone or smartwatch. Just go to gab.com/mischief. That's where you'll get the best deal. That's Gab, GABB.com/mischief. Gab.com/mischief.
Hey all, I'm Jamie Lynn Sigler, a mom, actor, and advocate. I know how overwhelming it can be trying to decide which treatment is right for you. I've been there. But you should know you're not alone. You can do this. Start with some research, talk to the community, and most importantly, don't be afraid to ask your doctor questions. You might find results that speak for themselves. That's how I landed on Kesimpta. Ask your doctor if Kesimpta, ofatumumab, could be right for you. You can check out the details at kesimpta.com.
I mean, I just think that, again, going full circle to the beginning of our conversation, people are just so divided, and it's like, and to your point about big city living and just kind of seeing that, despite our differences, we really are, we have very similar struggles, and
Absolutely.
we want to, most people want to be successful. They want to find love. They want to, whatever they want to do. And
raise their families in peace without,
right.
right. Yeah.
And I think that it's just tough because, some people, and we've talked about this before, and that was the big learning lesson for me, is that, they don't want to get along. There's this thing where it's like, you think that people want to get along, but there's people who don't want to get along. In
They
fact,
want the conflict. They want
they
the division.
want conflict. They're looking for a war. They're looking to, so I don't know what you do with that,
Because I don't know what drives that. Like what that desire for conflict is confusing.
I just think it's us and them, and it presents itself in many different ways, and it's just I don't know how we get past that. I really don't. But I'd like to. I'd like us to get past it. I really would.
But then I come home, and the next night we went to this beautiful outdoor music venue in LA called the Hollywood Bowl for John Williams night, Maestro of the Movies, which is incredible. They play clips from movies that he has scored, and the LA Philharmonic plays it live. It's just, it's great.
I love the smile on your face. Did that make you feel like, you know what? I bet you as you were sitting there, you were feeling like, okay, I made the right choice. I made the right choice in life. I'm so glad that I did what I did,
Yeah. Wow. Craziness. Crazy. All right. That was a nice talk. All right. So let's talk.
This is a gnarly one.
And it was a minute. It was because it's a longer episode for you.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of great recordings that you had, which is awesome. So I didn't mind the additional length in the episode because it was, especially the guy Bobby, the diver. But you had me again, and you do it on purpose. I know you do it to piss me off. You had me convinced that it was the dad, it was James and John, because their stories were so fucked up. I still don't understand their stories. It's like I've been a single dad for her whole life, and if my kid's missing for 10 minutes, I freak out and I call everybody I know. Right? She was only missing for a day. I
was thinking about that a lot. I was thinking a lot about that too, because I was thinking that maybe sometimes you don't want to admit that it's that serious. Like you're hoping upon hope that she's going to come home. She's going to come get her truck. She's going, you know what I mean? Like you just can't get to that level of like, we need to call the police.
Yeah.
We need to, because that means it's so serious,
And I had another Shadow Girls moment. If you all haven't listened to the Shadow Girls, it's available to binge wherever you get your podcast. Early on, I think episode 4, when we hear an interview with the only known survivor of the GRK, and when we were going through the production of that show, I remember calling Carolyn and saying, I don't believe a word out of this woman's mouth. Her story is so, I just don't believe it at all. And then a couple episodes later, I wind up, completely proven wrong when the bad guy himself corroborated like everything that she said. Okay. That's how the microcosm of that, right? What these guys said. I'm like, I didn't believe him. Oh, there was a guy in a ski mask in her car. He must have had the key. I'm like, who are you trying to bullshit? And then he runs away and you chase him down and then you don't call the cops while your daughter's missing. All of this out. Like, I didn't believe a fucking word of it.
I knew you weren't going to.
And then that's exactly how it went down. I
know. That is why, like, when people act, when people say there's no right or wrong way to act, but there's like a societal norm of what we think that how we think that people should act. And this guy, like when you hear his interview, now we know what the truth is, it's like, it sounds a little sketchy, Yeah. And that's kind of what the police were thinking. But he also seemed incredibly concerned about his daughter. It's just that.
Well, I'll tell you something. If I'm him, if I'm that dad, listen, yes, people do shit in different ways. But how could it have gone different? What if he did call the cops that night? Okay. And what if, the cops are just a little bit more aware that there's a bad guy out there. Okay. With the missing girl, maybe all of those close calls that he had with these cops, pulling up next to cops, all these eyewitnesses that saw shit that didn't know it, that could have changed things.
I know,
right?
but it's so awful to actually think about that. Because,
but having law enforcement aware,
mm-hmm.
that could have been just a little nudge that it needed, But so it was just.
Oof. I know. I mean, I just think that you never really know what you're going to do in a situation like this, and I think this is case in point. And the dad clearly adored and loved his daughter and raised her as a single father. They were incredibly close. I mean, I can see the relationship. Like, she would never, I believe she would never leave like that and do that to her father. Like, I totally believe that. And yet in that situation, you just don't know what you're going to do, Right. So, and the Israel Keys, I mean, I don't know what you thought about the interview with him, but like,
we'll get to it.
We'll get to it. Okay. I'm on Branden time.
So then they start, the basic investigation, right? They had the proof of life. That was weird and got fucking weirder. Okay?
Yeah, it was. No doubt.
Proof of life that they bought. They believed it. I believed it when you said it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Under the cute little picture of the lost fucking dog, and he puts $5,000 in there. The money gets withdrawn, and that's how. I mean, that was where this guy, for being some criminal mastermind, he's fucking stupid to keep using that card. They didn't think that they were going to get it, But so
I think psychologically he wanted to get caught. Honestly,
okay, yeah, I was going to mention that also.
I really do.
They track him through these ATMs. They're able to see his car. They get a make of the car, and then they wind up finding him. That one cop
This is a wonderful piece of
it's great. Of police work
and a police work, yeah, because
great police work.
Yes, great police work, because the Texas Rangers, the lead guy was like, hey, he put this bolo out twice. He went and hand delivered it because he didn't want it to just come across the police officers in their squad cars. They'll see these bolos come through, and I'm sure it's kind of like you see one and you see another and you see another. He really wanted people to care about this, and clearly, this eagle-eyed, trooper, a white Ford Focus. I think it did have different license plate on it, but like, bam, if they wouldn't have had that, this guy would have gotten away.
So he waits till he starts speeding a little bit, pulls him over, and then finds everything.
3 miles over. Yeah.
Right. Finds her keys, finds her ATM, and he's like, I'm a handyman. This is how they paid me. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, again, like, that was true. They didn't have anything physically connecting him to it.
So then what I want to know is, I don't understand why he gave it up then. Like, he knew that he was caught. They're going to find shit.
He thought that the FBI was better than the investigators were better than what they were.
Thought they had more.
He thought they had more, and he thought that they would find more. And so once it
right, that's when he turned, when they had enough for a search warrant and they were going to fuck up his house. Where his girlfriend and his daughter lives.
They did go, and then they started interviewing her, and he just did not want his daughter to find out.
He had all those weird demands. I'll talk, but you can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. It's like the Ted Bundy thing. For all the bad shit he did, he didn't want to be connected to killing a kid, right?
He didn't want to say exactly what he did, because there was that, so it was definitely like that, because Ted Bundy didn't talk about necrophilia for like a really long time. And when he did, it was like in the third person. And like, it was just like he wanted to remove himself from that completely. And this Israel Keys, because he engaged.
He didn't want anybody to know that he cut her up. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so, and this is where I'm just sitting there going, okay, Carolyn, you win. When he starts telling the story about how he did everything that he did, and it just all matched up. and it's one of those moments where I'm like, man, police work is really hard because you could hear the exact truth and think that it sounds outlandish and waste a ton of time and resources looking in a million other directions, which you have to do as a good cop, I guess.
You have to keep an open mind and not. This is the problem that humans have, is that we have this conscious and unconscious bias. We want things to make sense. We want it to, it would be more likely that, someone in her family or her friends would do this, or her boyfriend would do it, than a stranger, because these stranger abductions are really rare. And, they didn't believe, or they just questioned these stories. Why wouldn't you chase after this? You see someone breaking into your truck, why don't you chase after him? Well, the truth is that he was probably scared. He went and ran into the father for help. He's a young kid. I mean, we were talking about this in another case that we're working on, and you were really upset. You know what I'm talking about, with the girl that was tied to a tree.
Yeah.
And you were like, why did he not go and try to help her? Well, this is another situation where it's like,
but that guy's obviously lying, but whatever. Okay.
Well, it's another case, but you get my drift, right? It's like,
I get it. What I'm saying is that how does anyone know anything anymore is what I'm getting at. How does anyone know anything?
I think you just have to keep an open mind, and you can't do a rush to judgment. We know that doesn't work. Okay. We know that doesn't work, to have a rush to judgment, which is why I'm always saying, and you always just want to call me a hippie Carolyn, but I'm saying, 9 out of 10, it's like, you got to have it. You got to have the evidence, you've got to have the evidence, because strange stuff happens. Strange coinky dinks happen.
Right.
You don't
So this guy's arrested. He knows that they're onto him. He decides, take the death penalty off the table and I'll start telling you shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So he corroborates all of this stuff. He'd been casing this place. He just randomly picked his coffee shop to rob it. That's what he said at first. He said he just wanted to rob it.
He said, he didn't, he kept a little bit, he's like, he was so smug. And that's the thing that they would say as they describe him, is that he is controlling these interrogations. Right. He's smart enough to where he's making them kind of dance for him, because they want to get this information from him. And I think it goes along the lines of these sexualized burglaries. You know how we've talked about that so many times. Like, there's that thrill of doing it. And he knew that young girls mostly worked at, these coffee stands, not always, but mostly. And, or at least that was what he said. And, so I think he was playing it by ear, as he said. If he went up there and he wanted to do it, he was going to do it. And he wanted to do it. Let's just say that shed was ready to go for him. It had tarps laid out. He was planning it ahead of time.
So, and he took so many risks. He went back to the place after he'd gotten away, went back to get her keys and her wallet. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Then he goes to her house and goes into her truck.
Yeah.
On the property, which then, all right, so that corroborates. There's 2 sets of keys. He had to have had the keys. He had the keys. Mm-hmm. Okay. That was true. That was so just crazy. Then this fucking guy goes on vacation. He kills her.
I know.
He leaves her outside in the shed, a 20-degree shed, and goes on vacation.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and then does what he does and cuts a hole in the ice and dumps her body through the ice.
Yeah.
And then we got this cop, this guy Bobby, who was a forensic diver, I guess. I knew a forensic diver from New York. God, that's a specialty job.
I mean, it was a great interview. I really enjoyed talking to him, and you can tell that for him this is a calling, but it's definitely taken a toll, in terms of
and he wears his heart on his sleeve, this guy. Because he sees these posters. She's gonna come home soon, and he knows, she's fucking not. We know where she is, and we're gonna go get her, and she's under the ice and all that, and that bothers him. And how he was so professional. We can't say we found her yet. We don't know if it's her. We can say we found human remains. Like, just making sure, being so respectful of the process. Okay. And then when he went into that soliloquy about when we have a good day, it's someone else's worst day, but it's the first day of the rest of his new life. And I was going, dude, what? Jesus.
I know. I had to leave it long. I was like, I know Brandon's going to be like, this is too long, but
I never say it's too long if it's good content. It was, and I'm sitting there listening, just getting all sad, and going, holy Jesus.
I mean, the thing is that, it really makes you, when people are this caring and they're, quote unquote, one of the good guys or whatever, it really makes you feel like, they have a right to be proud of what they do, although it is really dark. And I think this was like a new perspective for me because I'd never thought about it like that. Every time they're going out there, a win for them in terms of completing the mission that they've been assigned to means that somebody's heart is totally going to be broken for the rest of their lives,
Yeah. I have another kid I graduated high school with, is a firefighter up in Connecticut, and it's a smaller town. It's outside of Hartford, near a big city, but it's a smaller town. So they also oftentimes they double as their paramedics, EMTs. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've been to Connecticut, but it's almost all freeways. It's like mostly the state is highways. It's crazy, but ton of traffic accidents. And he's rolled up on a lot of accidents. And he's been doing this for like 15, 20 years now. And it's tough he knows when he's been rolls up on an accident and someone is alive barely. And they ask him, am I dying?
Oh my gosh. I can't stand that. I've seen this in movies and I just.
Like, am I going to die?
And he knows that they are.
I say, what do you tell him? He goes, I'm honest with him. I say, yeah, you are.
What?
Yeah. Because what if there's something super, super fucking important that someone needs to know, and I lie to them and say, no, you're going to be fine, and they're dead 2 minutes later.
I mean, that's such a tough. What would you do? What would you do?
I'm rescuing baby birds in the street. I don't have the stomach to tell someone that they're going to die. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay. But I understand why he does what he does. And he's been told some really deep shit while holding someone while they die. Right? Like sometimes it's like, here's the combination to the safe. Sometimes it's like, here's where the will is. Sometimes it's, I have a second family in fucking Oregon, whatever. He's been told some gnarly shit.
I mean, that he'd be an interesting person to interview for sure.
Yeah, he never would.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not going to call him. I'm just saying.
No, I get it, but it's just he's such a responsible steward of these stories, and of the information that I agree it would be. He should write a book about it, but yeah. But so I get it.
The things that I think full circle, the things that first responders see is, so the rest of us don't have to.
Right. Humanity at its worst, and sometimes at its best, but often at its worst. And so with Bobby here, he's one step farther removed than my friend. He's there when the person's already gone and understands that it's the beginning of a really dark chapter in the lives of the loved ones left behind. Yeah. And I was really taken by how respectful he is of the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Absolutely.
So this is part one.
Yep.
Is it 2 parts? Or is it 3 parts?
It's 2 parts.
It's 2 parts. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm interested for part 2. When I saw how long it was, I'm like, there's no way this is a 2-parter. And sure enough, it's 2-parter. And I didn't even realize it was 2-parter until I hear you say on the next episode, because you never tease in real time unless it's a 2-parter. So I was surprised all the way through. It was cool. I was exposed as a doubting Thomas yet again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that makes you happy and it pisses me off.
It really does. Because when you talked about the Shadow Girls, and I was just sitting there, it was like eating bonbons, like remembering you being like, I don't believe this. I don't. Hold my beer.
Whatever. Yeah. You got me. Fine. You got me. I agree.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun for me.
Well, listen. Looking forward to part 2 of this and finding out more about this complete lunatic, Israel Keys. Well, listen. If you enjoyed the episode as much as I obviously did, head on over to Apple and rate us and review us and share with your friends. It helps out more than you know. And please also consider supporting the great companies that support our show, because without them, we couldn't do it. For Criminal Mischief, my name's Branden. As always, with Carolyn, anything you'd like to add?
Nope. We'll see you next week.
Great. Until then, stay safe out there, everybody. Bye now.
From Cloud 10, Criminal Mischief is a pie-in-the-sky production, recorded in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. We're produced by Brandon Morgan and myself. Music by Soundstripe. I'm Carolyn Osorio, your writer and host.